having a big voice really sucks, you know. It makes life hard. The girl's just trying to, you know, have you whisper in their ears, and I really hate that. It really sucks. That is not how I would talk. And it's really funny that I hear a lot of people do this, and it is so cringe, it's so corny, it really sucks, you know. In 2017, during like the first few weeks of high school, I was doing a presentation. I was still new. Our classes were opposite, like they were so close that you can hear what's going on in the other class, right? So as I was making this presentation, this other teacher from the other classroom came by, was like, whoa, who's that talking, you know? I was wondering, I was like, do we have a new teacher? Because it's like, I've never heard this voice before. And what's really funny is I'm short now, but in high school in 2017, like a couple of years ago, I was this short, like this short, you know. And he was like, how do you produce that kind of a voice? Ever since that moment, that was actually my turning point in high school. That was, you know, one of the moments that changed my life in a good way in that moment. But later it just became something that was really unbearable. So why exactly does having a big voice suck? Before we actually talk about that, I want to say something. You see, when this teacher made this statement, people from that class, so before he left his classroom, he actually like said something which was like in the lines, I would guess, like, who's that? That is, you know, that is a very big voice or something like that. And so when he came, some people came actually like peeping as well. And this discussion, like girls like were smiling, people, you know, were looking at me, and I was in front. I've always had anxiety, and this was so like such a very embarrassing moment because I just hate being the center of attention. And in this moment, I couldn't do anything but just stand there and have these people admire me, you know. And after that moment, you know, people would actually come to my classroom. We heard there's somebody with a big voice here. We heard there's somebody with a big voice. And that is how I used to get girls, you know. That is just how it happened. But you see, the problem with this is that after a while, it became so irritating and annoying because of the fact that, you know, oh, you know, like people would walk by, hi, how are you doing? And they, you know, they laugh, they giggle. I was like, okay. And the more you know, it's kind of like what celebrities say. When I go out in public, I just want to feel like a normal person. You know, like I don't want people asking for pictures. I don't want to be treated different. And that's basically what happened to me in high school, you know. Even though I had many people interested in me, you know, I was getting DMs. It was really nice, but it just felt so overwhelming, and it just it was annoying, so to say, you know. I'm talking, people are you know, like imitating my voice. I just felt like it felt like my voice became the center of the person that I am, you know. Like I just don't want to be my voice. Like I want to be more than just my voice, you know. And this was really like one of the most annoying things. Now, in as much as some people might argue to say, hey, this is actually not bad, you know, what is actually bad? Like another thing is the fact that when you have this kind of a voice, you sound like you're authoritative, right? And sometimes when I'm talking, this is something that I had to learn the older I grow. Back then, I used to feel like, you know, because for me in high school, I think high school was one of the highlights of, what it meant to have a big voice for me, because that was when I was around a lot of people where, you know, you had to do like social and, you know, creative activities with, you know, like group projects, so to say. So I was always the one, you know, Perry is the leader, Perry is the leader, Perry is going to do this. If there's a problem, everybody expected me to speak up just because of the fact that my voice was big. You know, they expected me to be the one to like there's never been a time when there was a situation when they wanted a leader, I was around and they didn't pick me. I don't know if it's about my voice or whatever, but I'm actually like smart, you know, not to brag. But yeah, you know, it was always like Perry this, Perry that. Like I have always been given this responsibility that I never asked for. And it's so overwhelming, and not that I hate it, but I just don't, I don't know, you know, this might not be bad, but it's, so for instance, I used to take literature, and in my school, the way we used to do it is we would read a certain chapter of a book, like maybe 40 minutes of reading, and sometimes we would go an entire session just reading. And because my voice was loud, I was made to stand in front with the book. So when she walked in, she found this guy and they started doing this. So now the crazy thing, like I'm reading this book for years, not just a single semester, a single month, years, and I didn't really know, like there's nothing I could do. I couldn't speak up for myself. And the worst part about this is that I actually struggle with my throat. Like I can't talk for a long time. It's a good thing that I'm introverted and I don't talk a lot. But when I do, it actually strains my throat. Like I'm reading and talking, like my throat is dry. It was excruciating. And now that I look back, I just don't think that anyone can put me in that kind of torture anymore. Because I just don't think that that was actually right in the first place. So actually, another side of authoritative, like seeming like you're someone who's authoritative. Because for me, when I'm talking, it's like I don't really pay attention to my voice, right? But if I go up to her, be like, oh, so this is what you're going to do. I think we should do it. So my opinion is like a decision. It's like the final word. That's how it sounds like. So what I think we should do is instead of just doing that, let's just like I'm always like for me it's an opinion, and then someone is like okay, and sometimes people don't take it well. I have gotten comments like you only want you only uh you always want your opinions to come first. Like you always phrase them as if it's the final thing. When I actually just never have felt confident enough for most of my life to say things in such a way that I feel like I'm the only person who's right. So that really sucks. And not only that, being rude. If I could count the number of times people have told me that I'm rude, it is like I'd be a millionaire or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, having a big voice is like the biggest challenge is it always sounds like you don't have any other emotion except for this chord villain. And that's really a problem. So every time when I'm talking, I can't even pick out a specific situation to say she told me I was rude in this situation, and I actually knew what I said was wrong. But I get this, like I used to get this a lot, and perhaps even now, where it's like you're being rude. I'm like, wait, what? I am an empath. I really don't like making people feel like uh they're unheard or I'm being rude to them. Like I know myself I'm many things, but I just don't have what it takes to actually embarrass someone in person or try to be right. That's just a person who I'm not. And I used to get this, but every time I would wonder, it's like, I have no reason to be rude to you. Like, why would you even say that? And for many times, I tried to find what was like wrong, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't until I realized that it perhaps could be my voice. And so I actually learned with time to you know how when this is a very bad analogy, but this is like the best way to explain it. So you know how when dogs are aggressive, right? But when it wants to submit to you, it usually like hides its tail behind, like it hides its tail between its legs. I don't know how well this analogy is going to age, but it's hides itself and then it submits to you. That is how I literally feel like in most situations. Because if I use my normal voice, I'm being rude, I'm being authoritative, and all that. But I found a way in which I like make it less loud. Like hi, hi. I kind of have to whisper. Like when I'm talking, it's like this most of the time. And for years now, ever since actually I got to university, I have been speaking like, hi, like I try to make it light and to the point where I feel like my voice is less deep now compared to years ago when I was just being myself who was apparently rude, authoritative, and all of that. Yeah. So, what is the biggest takeaway from this? I have seen a couple of videos where guys are like, so I was searching, what's this, a character for a script I was writing, and it had something to do with like a villain or something like that. And I got recommended videos of like how to have a deep voice, how to have a deep voice. I didn't even know that people have to look that thing up. I thought it was just something that was natural. And, it's just so fascinating. Perhaps it has got its own perks. I really also like it's not the worst thing in the world. I sometimes enjoy the fact that, I get to have the privilege of being heard, in a room full of people, and it just feels nice. But it just on most days feels like it gives you the attention that you don't want and need. Going to the grocery store, like almost every time. There's never been a day, I think, when I went to the grocery store and no one ever made like a comment. Most times than not, it's going to be like, oh, I say something and they repeat it back to me, like trying to imitate my voice. You hear that over 100 times and you think you're not going to be annoyed. Trust me. It is one of the worst things ever. It just feels like, anyways, you know what? I think I should stop dragging this video. Bye.